Welcome, gentlemen. All right, welcome to another Bloodhound workshop here. And let's see, I'm still taking a look to see who's in the room. And, I think I recognize all the names, except for maybe one. So, um, yeah, so before I get started here, let me ask if there is somebody new to these workshops today. And if there is somebody new here, if they would like to hear the workshop introduction. All right. So the workshop introductions where I explain what we do, what we do not do in these workshops. Um, I'll explain how the recordings work. And then lastly, third item, I'll explain the indicators that I can actually use in these workshops as well. All right. So if somebody would like to hear the workshop introduction, let me know. So I'd like to get that out of the way first. So, and let's see here. I do see that I had a last minute email come in here from Randy. We'll use that emailed in question to get today's workshop started. And then after that, I'll take your guys' questions in the Q&A window. But then again, I think all of you guys, or most of you guys already know that. So let's see. All right. So I don't see any takers on the workshop introduction. So let's get started with Randy's first question here. So let's see here. All right. So I got that. All right. So I have the question here in Notepad. So, all right. So, all right. So we're using the back test Renkos there, 40, 38, 40. And on price change for this example. So, all right, let me get that switched over. And all right, there's the calculate mode on price change. And great. All right. So let's see here. All right, so we have a number of items here. So we're looking for the signaling bar to cross the pivot line, but crossing it more than 10 ticks there. Let's see, so I'll have to put a pivots indicator on here. So we need the previous bar in the same direction. So basically we need two bars in the same direction, right? Including the signal bar. We have a moving average, slope direction to look at. And we're gonna throw in a volume indicator there. All right. So let's see, hold on a minute while I get some of these other goodies on my chart. So all right, I think I have everything for all the indicators on my chart now. And it looks like we are in luck. All right, so we have the PP line from the pivots, actually where the market is trading today. So good. That makes it convenient. Let's see. All right, so I have all the components here. There. So let me get Bloodhound open and we'll start building. All right. Well, first thing I want to do is create a file name. So let's put in today's workshop date. There we go. Yeah, let's see. Let's come up with some kind of a name for this logic template. Let's see. All right. So I suspect probably the key component of this question here is looking for, a Renko bar to cross a pivot line, plus the 10 ticks there. Or to cross it with more than 10 ticks. Yeah. Let's see. All right. So let's get the easy ones out of the way first. So we'll take this out of order. Right. So let's take a look at that moving average slope there. So let's just grab a slope solver. Right down there. Connect that in. Right, the HMA. And let's plug in the HMA indicator there. All right, there we go. There's our HMA. And switch the period over to 21. Like so. All right, and pretty straightforward. So there we go. HMA sloping down. We get a short output. HMA starts sloping up. We get a long output. Okay. And right, so yeah, this is going to be pretty straightforward because we want everything in alignment with the trend. So if we're looking for a short signal, the HMA needs to be sloping down. If we're looking for a long cross up, the HMA sloping up. All right, next one. Let's take a look at the volume here, right? So we need a volume greater than 500. All right, so that'll be another simple one there. And so that one, let's see. That one we actually could get away with using the comparison solver. But since we're using the volume up or down, we're going to have to use the threshold solver. Let's see. Oh, wait, or no, could we do both? Let's see. You know what? Well, I should say the proper way is to use the threshold for this, right? Because we're looking for a volume greater than 500. Right, so that 500 value is technically a threshold value, right? We're looking for the volume to exceed greater than 500. So really that should be the threshold solver for doing that. So yeah, I'll go with showing the proper way. All right. All right, so now we're going to plug in the volume indicator here, or better yet, why don't we just take a shortcut? We could use just volume, right, as one of the input types there. And then open up our threshold settings, right? And we're looking for a volume greater than or equal to 500. So let's put that in both, right? So we're looking for volume greater than 500. And let's see, volume at 500. Okay, yeah, it says greater than, so there's no equal. All right. And same thing for the short, right? The volume, right? There's no such thing. Well, actually, yeah, you could have a volume less than 500, but we actually want a volume greater than 500 for both of these conditions, right? So click OK. And so that happens quite a bit here, right? Actually, let's draw a line on here so I can actually visually see where is 500 there. Let's make that a little thinner. And there we go. Let's lock that. All right, there we go. So a little 500 value line. So there we go. So all the volume bars are marked now, right? So now volume is non-directional, right? It doesn't tell you the direction the market's moving. So when you're using volume, you typically want to generate a long and a short output at the same time, because volume is just either you do have the volume or you don't have the volume. And since it's a non-directional indicator, right, you're typically going to want a long and a short output at the same time, right? And basically the other conditions are what's going to determine whether it's a long signal or a short signal, right? Okay, so we have those two. And all right, let's do this one. So we need the previous bar. Well, and the signal bar and the previous bar in the same direction. So you move that a little bit. So with that one, we can grab a bar direction solver, connect that up. And what we're looking for is 2 bars in the same direction. So that's all we need to do. And let's name this. So that's a 2-bar direction. So we're going to shorten that name there. Oh, and let me go down to the threshold here. I'll name that guy there. Now let's start combining these conditions together using an AND node. Like so. There. All right, so now we can start doing some filtering there. And so there we have it. So we can see on this down move here, right? The majority of those down bars, right, have a volume greater than 500. So there they go. They're all being marked, right? And there's at least, 2 down bars as well. So let's kind of zoom in here a little bit. All right. So you'll notice, all right, the first down bar is not marked. Well, actually, that could be because of the HMA. Let's see. Well, actually, yeah, by the time we get to the second down bar, that HMA is sloping down. So, yeah. So, yeah, so good. Let's see if I can find an example with the HMA filtering things out. Yeah, here we go. So you see these 3 down bars right here, right? Our HMA is sloping down. This first down bar, right? It has a volume spike there, so that's greater than 500. And actually those, and and the next two down bars also have a volume greater than 500, but the first down bar is not marked with a short because it's the first one. So we need to wait till we get to the second one, right? So that's our bar direction solver doing its job there. Yeah. And same thing here, right? So when we get to all these down bars, right, this down bar right here, that volume is definitely less than 500. So it was filtered out there according to this solver here. And then all these up bars are being filtered out because the HMA is not sloping up yet. So, all right, so the easy part there is out of the way. So now we need a crossover where the closing price is greater than 10 ticks. So, all right. So first we need a crossover solver. All right. So I'm going to call this the pivot PP line crossover. So input A is going to be price, right? So we're looking for the bar to cross that pivot line. So, and most likely, right, you're looking at the close of the bar to do that. And then next input B, well, that's going to be our pivots indicator. Let's plug that in. Let's do a little search here. There we go. There's our pivots indicator. Yeah, one thing to note about the pivots indicator, I don't know if this is still a problem with NinjaTrader 8, but this was a problem with NinjaTrader 6.5 and 7, where the calculate mode needed to be set to intraday data. So I would still stick with that solution that NinjaTrader provided, is stick with calculate from intraday data versus using the daily bars. All right. So keep it on that. And then next, we just need to select which pivot line we want to monitor here. So in this case, we'll do the PP line first. All right, call it good. And let's see, what do we have here? All right, yep, so there we go. There's our crossover, there's our crossover. All right. Now, this cross down, right, illustrates a good point here, which is, that bar did not reach the 10 tick, movement past, right? So this bar probably did. Yeah, remember, these are 40 tick long bodies here. Yeah, so that bar definitely did, but that one did not. So what we'll need to do is give the next bar the opportunity to reach that 10 ticks there. All right. Let's see here. So in order to give the next bar the opportunity to reach 10 ticks past the pivot line, right, what we'll need to do is increase our look back period to 2. All right. So there we go. So we taken the crossover and extended it by an extra bar, right? So this extra bar, gives the market that opportunity to actually reach 10 ticks past the pivot line there, right? Okay, so now we need to include this 10 tick past the pivot line here. So let's see. Yeah. So I'm wondering, I'm thinking to myself here, if I can use the support resistance line, I mean, support resistance solver for that. And I don't think we can. Yeah, we're not going to be able to use the support resistance solver. I was hoping that, I was thinking that maybe we could use the headwind mode, but the problem is the headwind mode is going to, it's going to generate essentially what's, I guess you could call a false detection, because headwind mode is actually going to be, it's going to be looking at all the pivot lines. So it's going to be looking at S1 and R1 and saying, okay, yeah, we're 10 ticks past S1, or we're 10 ticks past R1. When really we want to isolate it to only being 10 ticks past the PP line, right? And so you can't, the support resistance solver is, designed to evaluate all lines simultaneously. So because of that, yeah, we're not going to use the support resistance solver here. So let me undo that. There we go. So I just used the undo until it was removed. And I can see it's removed from the solvers panel here as well. So instead, I'm going to use the comparison solver. Yeah. Let's see. There. All right. So setting up the comparison solver here. So input A is going to be price again. So we want to know if that closing price of the bar is 10 ticks away from the pivot line. And input B is going to be our pivots indicator. There's our pivots indicator. And of course, again, we want the PP line selected there. All right, so now the key is to set up the comparison rules here. Let me shrink this up a little bit. There. All right, so let's open up the comparison rules. And so we want the close to be greater than, right, the pivots PP line plus 10 ticks, right? So there you go. So if the close is, is the pivot PP line plus 10 ticks, then there you go. That's our 10 ticks passed. And for, all right, and that's for a long. So if it's a short signal, right, then we're looking for a cross down. And so we're looking for the close to be 10 ticks below the pivot line, right, wherever that is, probably somewhere around there, right? So we want the close needs to be less than the pivot line minus 10 ticks this time, like so. Let's hit apply and see what we get. And yeah, there we go. Great. So obviously, the close of this bar did not exceed 10 ticks passed. So there you go. So there's no output there. And this bar, right, that close is within 10 ticks there. So again, no output there. All right. And so if we combine these two here, right, we can combine the crossover. Right, here's our crossover. Combine that with the 10 ticks passed, and there we have it. So, right, so that's the bar that, that exceeded 10 ticks past the PP line there. And that bar did the same. And, oh, okay, it looks like that bar also just kind of barely exceeded 10 ticks. So, yeah, that looks good. That looks good. Great. So there we have it. So now, when we look at this, we can see, right, sometimes we do get two bars, identified as being 10 ticks, below the pivot line, or right here, right, the close is 10 ticks above the pivot line, right? We get two bars like that, right? And that's because, remember, like over here, sometimes that bar may not close 10 ticks past, right? So that bar doesn't generate a signal, but that one does. But this is the crossover bar, right? So remember, with the crossover solver here, we took that crossover condition and we extended out to a second bar, specifically kind of for this kind of situation. But over here, all of these bars here, they did close 10 ticks past the pivot line. So we're actually getting double signals there sometimes. So what we can do is just add a function node here, and we can add a signal blocker. We can clean that up with the signal blocker. Right. So the signal blocker, we only need to block only one bar, and that's it, right? And so with the signal blocker, there we go. So there's our bar that exceeded 10 ticks. That one did. So that first bar did. So we got rid of the second extra signal there. Same thing over here, right? We got rid of the extra long signal, got rid of the extra short signal. So there we go. There. And we can just name that. So now that we essentially have our crossover, plus 10 ticks. Yeah. All right, so I just named our AND node to kind of help identify what's going on here. Yeah, so now we can take that And we can grab another AND node. Right, this AND node here essentially is our filters, right? The volume filter, the 2-bar filter, the HMA slope filter, like that. And so this AND node is actually the pivots PP crossover signal. There. I got fat fingers this morning. All right, there we go. All right, so that is just for the pivots PP line here. So now what we also need to do is essentially duplicate this part of the logic here for all of the other pivot lines here, right? So depending on how many pivot lines you want to monitor, right? So yeah, let's see, the pivot, yeah, only has two extra lines. Three. Okay, yeah, three lines above and below, right? So you need to duplicate that for all the lines there. So what I'll do is we'll go ahead and build this out for S1 and R1, and then the rest is just a matter of, rinse and repeat there, right? So let's grab this, and we can copy this logic, and let's paste this up above here. All right. So this logic up above we'll make that the R1, and then we can also paste down here for the S1. So I'll just kind of line everything up, so it kind of matches the pivots indicator, right? And right here in the middle is our filters here. So we can just take our filters, connect it in up there, connect it in down there. But now we need to go in and adjust things, or switch our solvers over to the R1 line. Yeah. And then after that, we'll go down here to this group and switch our solvers over to the S1 line there. All right, so let's zoom in a little bit. And let's actually connect that up. And I wonder, well, good. Yeah, so we might actually get a signal here. There. Yeah, we might get a signal for R1. So that'll be helpful. And there. All right, so let's work on our first solver here. There. So let's adjust the name. All right, so this is going to be for the R1. So we need to go into input B here, which has our pivots indicator. Open that up. And we just simply need to select the R1 plot. There we go. All right, so that one switched over to the R1 line. And let's go to the comparison solver down here. And again, let's fix the name. So switch it over to R1, and then again, go into input B, like so, and select the R1 plot. And there we have it. All right, so there's some signals right there. So, right. So yeah, so we can see here, this bar didn't quite meet the 10 tick extension there, but the next bar did. And also looks like, yeah, it looks like the volume as well. So actually, Yeah, that volume did meet. Yeah, it matched up. But that the close wasn't 10 ticks away there. All right, so this right, so this logic here has been switched over. So now let's go down to the S1 and do the same thing, right? So let's go into our crossover here. Change the name. Go into input B right there. And this time find the S1. There we go. So just, scroll down, scroll up to find whatever plot you're working with. All right, let's go into the comparison solver. Again, we'll adjust the name there. And go into input B. And again, find the plot that we're building for. There we go. All right, S1. And let's see if we actually have price hitting S1. Yeah, not today. Doesn't look like. Almost. All right, let's see. Yesterday, well, actually, I don't have enough data. Yeah, so hold on. Let's zoom out to everything here. There. All right, let's close that. And I just need to add more data because actually there are no pivot lines for yesterday because I don't have enough data on my chart. So let's add a couple more days. Yeah, that's going to take a while to load up that data. So yeah, there we go. All right, that wasn't too bad. All right, so we're at S2 going back several days. There we go. Yeah, oh, great. Oh, look at that. We have a bunch of signals coming from S1. So cool. Um, Great. So we have S1 built. Now, the last step here, right, is we have and nodes, for each of the pivot lines. And of course, so now we need to combine each of these pivot line signals together into one, right, into one signal. Yeah, essentially. So with that, we can go to the logic and grab an OR node. And the OR node simply just combines everything together. And there we have it. So let's see. So doesn't look like, we have any PP line signals there. Yeah, not there either. It looks like the volume was the problem. And yeah, volume, well, yeah, this is after hours. So yeah, volume after hours definitely seems to be the problem. And it looks like I'm missing data here. So yeah, let me reload historical data. And okay, there, I think it's done. It's gonna scroll through there. All right, so that's the PP line. Yep. And there's the R1 line. Great. And another PP line crossover. Great. Let's see here. So we do have a cross down, but yeah, so it looks like on that bar, that close did not exceed 10 ticks past the PP line there. So let's just validate that. So, right, so if we zoom in here, right, here's the close, basically 10 ticks past the pivot line, so we can connect that in. And let's see. Oh, it was. Oh, yeah. There we go. Right. We didn't have two down bars. So that's right. That was the first down bar. So that was our problem. All right. So there's our second down bar. All right. That was an obvious filtering there. Okay. And let's see. All right. So here we have two up bars, but the volume is filtering things out. Okay, great. And let's see, we have two down bars, volume again, filtering things out. Yeah, this is overnight. So there. There we go. Let's see. Oh, this is overnight. Yeah, this is overnight as well, but yeah, it looks like we do have enough volume sometimes. But there we go. So we have some down bars, and there's our crossover below S1. Yeah. All right, so that should do it there. All right, I had to block the morning sun coming in here. So let's kind of do a recap of a couple of key things here. Right. So, this is set to the calculate being on price changed, right? And I doubt, yeah, we're going to have, well, yeah, maybe, maybe during my explanation here, who knows, the market might actually hit PP line there, and we might actually see a signal in real time. I wouldn't count on it though. But essentially, right, as soon as, right, the close of the bar exceeds the PP line, you're going to get a signal in real time. And of course, those signals are going to come and go, as the market bounces up and down, past that 10 tick requirement there. So let's see here. Yeah, as far as the logic goes, right? So you can see that we have our filters right here. If we zoom in, there, right? So as I labeled the AND node, right, these are the filters, right? So these are just kind of universal, you know, for filtering out price crossing all of the pivot lines. And then, you know, because the pivot indicator has several support resistance lines, right? We have a group of logic for each pivot line that you want to monitor, right? So again, this is not completely built out, right? This is just a template to work from. So above here, right, these two solvers are set up to monitor S1, I'm sorry, R1. Yeah, they're set up to monitor R1, right? In the middle here, these are set up to monitor the PP line in the middle. And then our nodes down here, right, are set up to monitor S1. And so if you want to, you know, monitor all of the pivot lines, right, then it's just a matter of, as I showed you earlier, you know, copying, you know, the group, you know, copying and pasting that group, and then going into each of the nodes here, right? The crossover solver and the comparison solver, right? And taking input B and make sure you switch it over to whatever pivot line, you know, that you want to monitor there for those crossovers, right? So, and then make sure you connect everything up to the OR node there. So that way, all of the crossovers for all of the various pivot lines, you know, all of those signals get combined into one kind of master signal, I guess you could call it. That's right. Or, well, just one combined signal. Yeah. So, all right. So that should do it for now. So let me take a look at the Q&A window and see what kind of follow-up questions there might be here. So. All right, let's see. So, yeah, it looks like Randy has a question on delaying the entry orders here. So this might be a Blackbird question. So, so yeah. So the question is, Randy has two order sets, right? So the first order set A, I'm assuming, yeah, gets executed immediately. But then order set B, it also is a market entry, but he wants to delay it until order set A is filled. Yeah, Blackbird's not designed to trade that way. Yeah. Yeah, Blackbird's, you know, designed to trade in accordance with the trade signals immediately. So, yeah, so trying to delay stuff is not common for traders to do, right? Usually you've missed the move if you're delaying. So Blackbird's not designed to do that. Especially, yeah, Blackbird's definitely not going to submit orders, or I should say, Blackbird's not going to submit a a entry order after a previous position is closed. So to do that, yeah, you definitely need to get into some custom coding of your own strategy, because that is definitely atypical way of trading. So I don't think Blackbird will ever have that capability, since it's so out of the norm. Um, yeah, because waiting, essentially the main issue, programmatically, the main issue is when order set A is closed out, Blackbird is flat. And so from that standpoint, um, hmm, yeah, from that standpoint, it's, traders don't just submit another order. Um, so when Blackbird's flat, it is designed to correct itself, or monitor itself to make sure it is truly flat, make sure there was no overfills, underfills, things of that nature. But you're actually wanting it to submit another trade on its own, without a trade signal. Um, and as I'm speaking out loud, I'm still just kind of thinking to myself. Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna say, Randy, that is not possible. Yeah. Yeah. Um, let's see. Oh, Randy says, yeah, sorry. Question 2 is a Blackbird question. So actually, I just already answered it for you there, Randy. So, yeah. So, yeah, if you want, we could set up order set A, but yeah, I can tell you already that uh, placing a trade after Blackbird is flat, Blackbird's, yeah, it's not designed to do that. So that is definitely out of the norm for traders. So I would not expect Blackbird to be able to do that. So yeah. Yeah, can a signal be the previous bar close? No. No, Blackbird again does not. Blackbird is designed to react on a trade signal in real time, not look back into the past and place trades based on past signals. Again, traders don't want, right, the typical way of trading is act now as fast as possible. Don't act on something in the past. Act on a trade signal that you get right now, and don't delay getting into the market. If I get a trade signal now, don't wait a bar, get into this trade right now. So yeah, again, that's all, yeah, kind of definitely way out of the norm of standard trading, behavior or practices. Yeah. So yeah, and yeah, I know. Yeah, Randy's basically trying to think of a workaround, and I have as well. And the key difficulty in finding a workaround in this scenario is order set B gets executed when Blackbird is flat, right? So order set A needs to be closed out. So Blackbird is technically flat, and then B goes in. So that's the hurdle, that's the technical, you know, um, triggering condition here that makes this, that makes finding a workaround difficult. Well, in this case, impossible. So, and obviously there's no way for for Bloodhound to know. Well, let's see here. Profit target, flatten after 1 bar. Flatten after 1 bar. Well, all right. Actually, so Randy, based on what you have here, so I guess the question is, so if order set A, if the stop loss was hit, actually, I don't even know if there is a stop loss, but let's just assume that there's a profit target and a stop loss. So if the stop loss was hit, are you still going to execute B? Or is order set B going to be traded regardless, no matter what? All right, so just wait for Randy to get back to me. Yeah, okay, so the stop loss A will cancel B. All right. Yeah. Yeah, so there's no way. Um hmm, hmm. Yeah. Well, I really should have Blackbird in front of me here. So I'm just trying to kind of, you know, think about all this, just in my head. Uh, and actually, yeah, I'm kind of backtracking now. So it actually might be possible. Um, it might be possible. Uh, so what I hmm, so what I was going to suggest is, if order set B is going to fire off regardless, then we could just create another trade signal, right? And essentially, you just take this signal and just delay it by 1 bar. So for example, all right, so we get this down signal here. Um, And uh, um, yeah, so this plays out. So this is, yeah, so this is happening in real time. And if you want B to go in, basically at the beginning of the next bar, then we could just essentially create another logic template here. So a new signal, and just take this signal and just delay it by 1 bar. Let's see, where is it? There we go. Take the look back. And let's mark these. Right. So there's the original signal. There you go. So these are actually good examples. Yeah. So we have a continuation of the market down. So this would be an example of where order set B, right, the second trade should fire off. However, this is a good example of, well, you know what? Profit target may not have been hit as the, well, actually, no, that did close up. Let's see. I actually need to find an exact situation here. Yeah, maybe this will work. All right. Yeah, there we go. I think this will work, right? So in real time, this would have generated a signal, right? So this bar didn't quite close 10 ticks past, right, the pivot line, but we can see by the tail of this bar that the market did come down a few more ticks, and that would have generated a short signal in real time. However, the bar reversed, and so that would have been a stop out. Yeah, so that's actually an example there. All right. Yeah. So I think there is a way to have Bloodhound generate the secondary signal for order set B here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this logic template. There. All right. So this will be our secondary signal here. Now, there's not going to be any way to test this during the workshop. So no guarantees, but I believe this should work. Let's see. So I'm going to need a bar direction, and I'm going to need a look back node. All right. And this look back node, what we're using is actually the displacement function here. There. So I'm going to rename that. So we actually want to take, all right. So if we get a long signal, right, like right there, and we're trying to produce, right, a secondary signal for B, then what we want to do is, right, delay. So we take the primary signal and we shift it forward 1 bar, and we can make sure that the bar direction, right, well, yeah, the bar direction actually hasn't occurred yet. So, yeah, so actually that is going to come later. Yeah, that's going to come later. Yeah. So when a signal comes in, and so the difficulty here is our calculate mode, right? So remember, Bloodhound has the calculate set to on price change. So that's our difficulty there. So going back to, yeah, going back to here, right? Price crosses down, and let's see. Yeah, it looks like, anyways, a little side note here. The other problem is I think this volume requirement is going to be a problem. Yeah, because of the on price change, you may not hit that volume in real time. So once this stuff, once the primary signal has been met, keep in mind, most people, even when I was building this, I didn't think about this, but you got to keep in mind when you put in requirements like this, but you're calculating on price change, you're expecting, right, to get a signal in real time. Well, guess what? Your volume is not going to have hit 500 yet, right? So this filter here is probably going to delay all of the signals there for quite some time. So you're probably not going to get in as soon as the market hits that 10 tick past the pivot line there, due to the volume there. So anyways, right. It's a little side note there when you're when you're trying to build a signal in real time there, just always realize that, any one of these conditions could mess up that signal occurring as soon as you are hoping it to occur. So, but anyway, so kind of getting back to still the main topic here, trying to generate this secondary. So we have a signal coming in. All right, so we have a cross down. Price moves a little bit further, and it finally hits that 10 tick requirement there. 10 ticks passed. And yeah, let's just assume, right, that we have our 500 volume. And so we get a short signal there in real time. And so for the secondary signal to occur, we need to lock in that signal. So that short signal that happens in real time, that needs to be locked in. And actually, no, maybe I'm overthinking it. Yeah, I am overthinking this. Okay. Yeah, you know that signals in real time can really kind of throw you for a loop. So let's see here. I think zoom in here a little bit. Yeah, I think this will actually work here. So, all right, so my original assumption was correct. So we're taking the primary signal here, and that's gonna, so there we go. This is our primary signal, and basically this is our um, secondary signal, right? So we take the primary signal, right, and we delay it by 1 bar, right? So let's look at that delay there, and yeah, so there, let's switch over here, right? So this is a perfect scenario here, right? So there's our primary signal, and then our secondary signal, right? And of course, we need to make sure that yeah, we need to make sure that the previous bar closed in the direction of the signal, right? So in other words, the primary signal, right? We need to make sure that this bar actually closed up in the direction of the signal. So yeah, so what matters here is this bar direction. Actually, we only need to monitor this closed bar, right? So, right. So if we think about this in real time, this bar just opened. And of course, we don't know what direction this bar is going to go. So all we can do is look back to the closed bar and say, did this bar close in the direction of the signal? So the bar direction is actually what we need to monitor is the previous bar direction, right? Or the closed bar's direction, right? Or, yeah, right, the closed bar direction. So we only need to look at just that 1 bar closed direction. Actually, you know what? Yeah, I think just for safety purposes, let's look for 2 bars. Yeah, closed 2 bar direction. But right, so we're looking at this bar direction that's closed, that bar direction that's closed, when this bar is opened, right? As soon as this bar opens. So we need to look back 1 bar. So we need to use the start bar as a go, set that to 1, right? So now that's looking back at the closed bar there. And yeah, so that should do it, right? So so we have the primary signal coming in, and then the look back displaces it forward onto the next bar, right? So we're not, so in real time, you actually don't get anything out of this look back node until this bar closes, right? Once this bar closes, then the displacement takes the signal from here and then shifts it forward onto the bar that's just opened there. And then our bar direction, right? It's set up, right? With start bars to go 1, no, number of bars 2, right? So our bar direction is set up to say, okay, yeah, did the previous bar, which is our primary signal, did it actually close in the right direction? Because if it did, then we know that we hit a profit target, right? If it closed in the opposite direction, well, then, we're going to cancel this signal here, right? So this is making sure that the previous bars closed in the correct direction, of the signal that came through. So, yeah. And actually what's going to happen here, let's go back to this great example. Let's see, where was that? Yeah, here we go. Right. So in this good example here, right, imagine this in real time. This bar closes. Let's move this down. Come on. There we go. Right, that bar closes. Price moves down a few ticks and it generates a short signal, right? But then price moves up, gets stopped out or whatever. But then that bar closes up, even though, it did generate a short signal. But because it closed up, there is no primary signal anymore because the bar closed up, right? So from that standpoint, there is no primary signal that gets passed on to the look back, to be passed on to the secondary signal bar, right? So, but the fact that, yeah, just simply by the fact that this bar closed in the wrong opposite direction of the signal that occurred in real time basically solves our problem, for this secondary signal here. So actually, yeah, you know what? Having this bar direction might actually be overkill. So as I kind of said this out loud, that, when this bar closed up, it essentially at that bar close, the primary signal goes away, or actually as, remember our short signal only occurred in real time for a few ticks as price moved down, but then as price moves up and it's forming this up bar, right, that short signal goes away and it's gone. So there actually is no primary signal anymore to pass on. So this bar direction might be overkill, but I don't think there's any harm in having it there. Yeah, so we'll just kind of keep it in there anyways. Yeah. So I think this will actually solve the secondary trade situation there. So, right. So you have the primary signal, and then you have a secondary signal. And so in tomorrow, yeah, so for tomorrow's Blackbird workshop, we'll see if we can sort this all out so we can get the different signals associated with the different order sets, which I'm not positive is possible because, again, Blackbird is not properly designed so that it can associate, signal A with order set A, and then associate signal B only with order set B. It's not really designed to do that, but I think there is a workaround so that it should work. You know, only testing will know. Yeah, and of course, we won't be able to, the only way you can test this is to watch it, because this is a real-time system here. You just have to wait until the market sets up, the conditions to generate signals in real time and see if it actually works. So yeah, there's no way to test this without real live market data. So all right, so let's see, let me get back to the Q&A window here and see if there's any other follow-ups. So yeah, so anyway, so Randy, once you follow up on that email in this today and follow that up, with all the kind of detailed information here for Blackbird for tomorrow. Yeah. Yeah, Randy was suggesting, okay, use less volume for now. Again, the only real way that you can test this to see how things work is only on live incoming data, or maybe you can find some playback data that you can keep playing back over and over again, for some testing. For now, you really, you can only theorize what's going to happen. When you're working on historical data like we are, yeah, you can only theorize as to what's going to happen there. So, adjusting the volume's not going to help when we're theorizing there. So, yeah, so, yeah, actually, probably the only way that you can test this efficiently is to use the playback connection. Find a good day where you do have a bunch of good signals and bad signals, per se, so you can test to make sure, to see how the volume is factoring in there, something like that, and just kind of play that over and over, use the playback to, kind of play that in real time, and, and watch it closely and see if your volumes need to be adjusted, and, things of that nature there. So, yeah. Something else that we can do here. Yeah, let me go back here. So going back to the primary signal here, right? Since the volume probably will be the issue that might prevent a signal there, what we can do is utilize that little trick of monitoring, a single condition in real time. Right, so what I can do is move that down, and I'll move that up and move that up. There, sorry, doing a little bit of node management here. There. All right. So what we can do is add another OR node, and we can take our volume condition, feed it into the OR node, and this OR node, we're going to reduce the output, right, to 0.2, Yeah, something like that, 0.2, 0.1, whatever you kind of like to see. And if we connect that into the OR node, right? And yeah, so let's see. There. So we can see, we can monitor when the volume hits that 500 level there, right? So we can see our signals. And then as soon as the volume hits that 500, right, we'll see this long and short output here, right? Like so. So yeah, so that'll help kind of monitor this in real time, so you should uh, hopefully, you see this kind of long and short output just prior to the market hitting that 10 tick 10 tick move past the pivot line, right? Yeah, so hopefully you'll see this volume output here just prior to the market, going past 10 ticks. So, yeah. So that'll be helpful for, debugging the system here. Yeah. And all right, I think we have come to a conclusion on this one here. So good. All right, that was quite the brain exercise there, working that out. Yeah, again, when you're building a system in real time, you do have to take your time to kind of think through what the market is doing, on a tick by tick basis there, and how your various filtering conditions, factor into that and all that, right? And all that good stuff there. So, all right. So with that, I think we are done with this question, it looks like. So let me just kind of clean up here. There. And there. And let's see. All right. So Bruce has a question. Unfortunately, he had to leave, but let's see what his question is. Hmm. Yeah, basically, Bruce's question is really a question for NinjaTrader. So he wants to know how to overlay an advanced decline indicator. Uh, hmm. Yeah, I'm just kind of thinking to myself, what is an advanced? I know I've heard of this indicator before, advanced decline indicator. Yeah, I guess there's some kind of issue with running those on a range chart. Anyways, yeah. So how you would overlay an advanced decline indicator on a range chart? Yeah, that's a question for NinjaTrader, or really that's a question for whoever built the advanced decline indicator. So, all right. So all right. So that's not a question for these workshops. So, okay. So yeah, Bruce didn't really miss anything. So All right, gentlemen, let's see. We are at the 1.5 hour mark. Um, not too bad so far. So with that, let's see if we got anybody new in the room. Uh, oh, yeah. All right. So we do have a couple of new people in the room now. So all right. Well, gentlemen, the um, the board is open to the next question. All right, guys. So yeah, I'll just wait for the next question to come in here. All right. And while I am waiting on the next question, I'm going to go warm up my coffee in the break room. So I'll be back in a few seconds. So that'll give you guys plenty of time to think of a question and get that typed out there thoroughly for me. Right? I'll be back in a moment. All right. I am not seeing any questions. So this might end up being a short workshop. So I'll give everybody another 4 minutes here or so to get some questions in. Otherwise, we'll wrap it up early today. Yeah, actually, let me ask. Normally, I don't do these in the workshops, because I don't want to detract from actually doing bloodhound training. But are any of you gentlemen out there signed up to be a beta tester for the optimization version of Blackbird and Bloodhound? Well, maybe nobody's listening. Feel like I'm talking to myself. Randy's considering it. All right. Oh, good. Yeah, you definitely should do stuff like this on an extra computer that you might have, so maybe you've got an old trading computer, right? Something like that. An old laptop, whatever, you know, definitely, or at least if you're not trading live, you know, uh, that kind of situation, then it's not gonna, running beta software is, not going to be an issue if you're doing it on a backup computer, or if you're not actively building and testing systems, same, so um, yeah, so as I'm talking, I'm building quite the checklist, right? So to be a beta tester, ideally, you should you should have a extra computer, that you can be using, or, you're not trading live and you're not actively building a trading system and testing, you know. So one of those two scenarios there. Um, yeah. Anyways, so yeah, so Jeremy's hoping to get a um, alpha version released out there to the beta testers. So probably not this week, but hopefully come Monday. Um, I, I'm not sure how it's going to be released. I'm assuming maybe people are going to be emailed. I'm not sure. Or well, actually, yeah, it's probably just going to be announced on Discord, I think, in the beta channel. Yeah, actually, that's probably how it's going to be released. Is a link will be posted on the beta tester channel in our Discord. So yeah, so keep an eye on that. Um, and so the only way to get access to the beta testing channel on Discord is, is to request to become a beta tester. So and all right, so with that, I'm not seeing any Bloodhound questions, but let's see what Alvin has here before we kind of close up shop here. Let's see. Trend indicator. Hmm. Oh, okay. Yeah, I was trying to remember what was this half trend indicator. That's right. Yeah, it was a new download from Big Mike's. Okay. All right. So adding a 50 and 100 period SMA every time price is above. Um, hmm. So Alvin, yeah, in your writing here, you want to add a 50 and 100 period SMA, and every time price is above and the half trend is true, you want a signal. But then you say currently it only takes trades when both conditions are true, which is what you just stated. Um, so in my mind, that's a contradiction. So could you rewrite the question there for me? I mean, yeah, so if you're adding a 50 period and 100 period SMA and you want price to be above it and for the half trend indicator to agree, yeah, then produce a signal. Yeah, it sounds like that's what's happening. So and that's what you wanted. Yeah, so there's some miscommunication here. Yeah, so Alan, if you could try and you know, rewrite exactly what you're looking for, then I'm sure it my guess is it's probably an uh, easy situation to solve here. Yeah, I think the solution is going to be easy, but I just need to know exactly, what you're wanting between the SMAs and the half trend indicator. Yeah, so in the meantime, let me get these indicators up here. All right, so I have my chart set up. Let's see. All right, good. Looks like Alvin's got back to me. Okay. Um, yeah, so this looks pretty straightforward. Let's see. All right. Um, yeah, so I'm not actually understanding what the issue is, but what you want to build is pretty straightforward. Um, all right, so essentially, yeah, the SMAs are just filters. Yeah, all right, so we need price to be above the 50 and the 100 period SMA. All right. Yeah, so I'm going to use intraday data instead of daily bars. So, all right. So yeah, let's rebuild this here. All right, so let's add, the SMA filters here. All right. So that's going to be comparison solvers. All right. So Alvin, let me ask, when you say price is above, does that mean the entire bar or just the closing price of the bar? So, all right, so for now, I'm just going to go with the closing price to be above. So, all right, so input A, right, it's going to be the closing price of the bar. And all right, input B is going to be the SMA 50. All right, so there's our, close above or below the SMA 50. So let's see here. Oh, there we go. Right. So the dashed line is the SMA 50. So, yep, there we go. You can see the close is below, short output, right? The close of the bar, right? All these bars are above, so we get a long output. Pretty straightforward. All right, so let's copy this solver. Let's paste it there. So this is going to be the SMA 100 now. So we just need to go into input B and change the SMA 50 to the 100 period now. Just change the period like so. All right. And let's grab an AND node. So there we go. All right. So there's when price is both above both SMAs. So now we just need the half trend indicator to be in agreement, with price being above or below both SMAs there. So let's see, the half trend. Trying to remember, I think this indicator actually had an output that tells us if it's in a long trend or a short trend, I believe. So let me take a look at that. So I'm going to use the threshold to inspect that indicator here real quick. All right, so there's the half trend. And again, this was downloaded from NexusFi. Yeah, Futures.io, formerly Futures.io, currently NexusFi. So let's add that down there. And yeah, trend. Yeah, I think that's just the main plot line. I see up signal, down signal. Oh, actually, yeah, you know what? Let's just, I think this is what Alvin wants is actually, yeah, when we actually get a signal here. Oh, well, Yeah, I think this is going to be, we can use the up signal and down signal for part of this, I think. Yeah. Right. So there we go. So we can see we're getting an output during the uptrend signals there, but not the downtrend. Right. And the reason why is, right, these little rectangles, open that up, right? That's actually a plot. So we can see, right, it's a triangle down and it's a triangle up, right? So the value here of these triangles is, the corresponding price that triangles is printed at. So going inside the solver here, right? So with the half trend set up inside the threshold solver, right? This up signal and down signal, it's a plot, right? So the value is whatever price that plot is at, right? So in other words, the up signal and the down signal are both positive price values, right? So this down signal here looks like it's printing at 18,952.5, right? So that's a positive value, right? Since it is a price, it is a plot on the price panel. So it's a positive value. So in the threshold rules here, in order to generate a short signal, we need a value that's greater than 0, not less than 0, right? So these are not negative price values, right? Those are positive price values. So we need to switch this over to a greater than, and then if I hit apply, there we go. So now we have a short on these down triangles, right? On those signals. So there we go. Okay. So, all right. So let's see here. So these are the SMA filters. Then I can grab another AND node. So this, right, these are the secondary signals. So like, for example, over here, right, price is well below our SMAs, right? And we can see here the half trend is in a downtrend, right? So so the first signal, I think it's going to be right here on this bar, right? I think that's the first signal. Price is still below both moving averages, but then the half trend reverses direction, and then it reverses direction again back into a short. So that would be our secondary signal here that Alvin's looking for, right? Our secondary signals. So now, yeah, we need to identify, right, this first signal here. And let me think about that. Okay. So that's going to be a comparison solver. So this comparison solver is just going to be looking at the half trend direction. Is the half trend or the half trend's trend. Trend direction. There we go. Okay. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, so for that, we're just going to compare the closing price of the bar to the half trends, plot. Right, so there you go. Right, so this plot line right here. Right, so obviously if the bar closed above it, then the half trend indicators in an uptrend. Right, when the let's see, actually price needs to close below the offset. So actually, let me take a look. Oops. Take a look what's in here. Yeah, I don't remember exactly how I did this last time, so I'm just gonna have to experiment here. And take a look. Let's see when we're there. I think something like that will work. Hmm. All right. Actually, that's not quite what I expected. Here we go. Yeah, actually, this is what I expected. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Okay. Let's take a different approach. Yeah. So this comparison solver is not working because what happens here it's because of the way this indicator was designed, right? So we can see we have this upper channel. This upper channel is visible when the indicator is in a downtrend. And what I did with this comparison solver is I'm comparing the closing price of the bar to the upper channel, right, to generate a long output for the upper channel. So let's just kind of focus on the upper channel for now, right? The lower channel, vice versa to generate a short. So let's just kind of stick with the upper channel here, right? And so, if you could imagine this upper channel line continuing on, even though it's not visible because the indicator is in an uptrend, so the upper channel disappears, right? The indicator makes it invisible. and all we see is the lower channel here. But we can imagine if we took the upper channel line, extended it, extended out, we can see that the close of the bar is actually above the upper channel where it would be. But then, right, these bars kind of consolidate right on top of the main indicator line, right? So the close of these bars are actually inside of the upper channel line, right? So we can see based on the lower channel, right, the upper channel is probably somewhere up here, right? That's where the upper channel would be plotting if it was visible. So, right, so the close is actually below this upper channel line. It's inside. So that's why there's no long output anymore, right? So that doesn't work in determining this indicator's trend direction. Yeah, so what we need to do, I'm going to delete this comparison solver here. Yeah, so what I can do is I can take these signals here. Right, so remember, every time, right, boom, we get a short, long, short, long. I can take this and feed it into a toggle node, which I'm guessing is what I did last time. And there you go. So this toggle node now is matching the half trend's trend direction, right? Every time that half trend flips directions, there you go. The toggle node is matching that output, right? So the toggle node is taking the signal and it's holding on to that output until the next signal comes in, and then, right, and then turns the shorts off, and then turns the longs on, then turns the longs off and turns the short on. So that's just, right, the default settings for the toggle node. So so there you go. So this is our half trend trend direction. So getting back to our missing first signal, right? So now that we actually have the trend direction, we just need to wait for right, the closing price to close below both of the SMAs and get our signal. So I can take another AND node, connect in our filters, connect that in like so. And there we have it. So there, yeah. So there's our first bar, right, where I put the arrow. So bingo, we have our first signal. But now we need to turn off or block all of these other continuous short signals there, right? So let's do that. I'm going to take a signal blocker. There we go. And yeah, I don't know how many bars we need to block for. Let's just put in, I guess, probably 100 should be sufficient there. Yeah, looks like 100 is sufficient. However, let's see. Yeah. Okay. I was actually thinking we might need to adjust some of the resets here. We're not actually using the reset signal, so yeah, but I don't, does not look like we needed to adjust any of the resets here. So I think the default works. Yeah. So now it's just a matter. Let's see here. I'm just gonna reorganize this a little bit. All right, so we have our secondary signals, and this one is going to be the first signal, right? So so we just to kind of recap here, we have this threshold solver, which is reading the up and down signal plots, right? So again, let's open up the indicator, right? So we're reading the up signal and the down signal, those two plots, right? Right. So again, that produces an output when we get the triangles, right? When we get the up triangle and the down triangle, right? Those two triangles. Yeah. So that's being used for the secondary signals, and we are feeding, right, the up and down signals into the toggle node, and the toggle node actually has the half trends trend direction. So this actually is holding on or identifying the trend direction. All right. So again, if we take a look at that, right, so we can see we have the long output and the short output that's matching the half trend, right? And right, so what, knowing the trend direction, right, putting that into an AND node, and then using our filters here, our SMA filters, right, that's going to produce an output whenever, right, the bars are above, above both SMAs and in accordance with the trend direction. But of course, we don't want this continuous output. We just want a nice clean signal. So thus we have the signal blocker. So that produces a nice clean signal there. Let's see here. Well, actually, let's see. Yeah, it's not right now. Hold on. So let's close that. Let's do a little reload here. There we go. So nice clean signal like so. And so now we need to combine the first signal and the secondary signal together so we can see both of them at the same time. And that is an OR node. So there you go. Combine everything together, or combine both signals together with an OR node. And now we have both. Let's see here. And there we go. So let's kind of zoom in to this downtrend here. So there we go. So price closes below both SMAs, first signal. The half trend is down. There you go. The half trend flips directions and then it reverses down again. So there's our secondary signal because price is still below both of our moving averages, right? The half trend flips directions again, right? The closing price is still below both of our moving averages. And then the half trend flips short again, producing a third signal. So, right, so another secondary signal. So there we go. And then finally, price moves up, closes above both SMAs. There's our first signal. And yep, the half trend flips direction and then flips to an uptrend again. And there's our secondary signal. So there we go. So again, here's the primary signal, or the first signal, I should say, right? And then this is our secondary signal right here. And just needed to combine them both together with an OR node. All right, I think we're done here. So let me go back to the Q&A window, see if there's any follow-ups on this. And no, it does not look like there's any follow-ups on this, so great. Alvin's asking, when would the video be available? I have no idea. Depends on the video editor and how long it takes that person to get to it. So I have no clue. So what you can do is, in the meantime, while the video, is being edited, or during that waiting period while the video is being edited, you can email into support and request that the video be uploaded to the raw channel here. So yeah, so email into support and ask for today's workshop to be uploaded to the raw, and that gets up there when it gets up there. Again, I'm not in control of any of this, so I don't know how long that stuff takes. So I would say the soonest would be later on tonight. So I've heard I've heard comments from the video editor that it does take YouTube a long time these days to process videos. It's basically an hour or two per hour of the video. So if it's a 2-hour video, then it takes YouTube anywhere from 2 to 4 hours to process that video. Yeah, so yeah, so there is that waiting time after everything gets uploaded that you still have to wait. So so there's no way for us to know when a video is ready, but probably by tomorrow morning, I would hope, at, at, at the best later on tonight. It should be up there. So, all right. Great. So another question taken care of today. All right. So with that, let me ask if anybody else has any questions. All right. So the board is open for questions again. And yeah, we're almost at the 2.5 hour mark. So that's actually pretty good for a Bloodhound workshop. So yeah, with that, and I can see we're losing people in the room here. So I'm gonna set the timer here and give everybody about 5 minutes or so to get the next question in here. All right, so if I don't see any more questions within the next 4 to 5 minutes, then I'll assume we're done for the day and wrap it up. All right, gentlemen, a couple more minutes. Think of those questions, or we'll wrap it up. All right, gentlemen, I'm gonna call it. So, all right, sounds like, yeah, we're gonna have some Blackbird question for tomorrow. So, yeah. So, all right. Well, if I don't see you tomorrow, then see you next week. All right. Bye-bye, gentlemen.